Scales and Pages. Written by Nikolai Weiskopf. Read for you by Adam R. Watson. Story 9. The Arrogant Vampire.
"This bad idea,"
Gruffbark said, as they soared towards the black cloud horizon sheltering the unseen academy. "I agree, and ask again if you have a better one, please share it," Valstus answered, before shivering at the massive churning weather magics calling to their storm magics.
"No have one. Why son not welcome?"
Gruffbark answered, and asked, hugging a cloak of leaves and grass tighter to his trunk. It didn't stop the charged air from poofing every mossy hair until his head resembled a red dandelion puff. "Because shadow magic doesn't like sunlight," Valstus answered, focusing on the explanation that stopped them from laughing. Passing under the black skies, they sent their mana into the enchanted clouds. The dense sky answered with rolling thunder and sickly yellow lightning flashes.
"Wind has blood stink,"
Gruffbark griped while climbing up Valstus's neck. The Unseen Academy was not a hall or a concentration of structures. Instead, they divided into estates and trading halls, their boundaries marked with banners and armored mages alike. Valstus knew by reputation every single building could house countless supplies and people. The logistical advantages of shadow magic created unbridled ambitions and conflicts to match. In the distance, they could see flames engulfing multiple buildings. Above the largest house, a new banner rose, a field of purple with black spiraling paths at its center. Turning towards the victorious forces, they landed at the largest tent. Instantly, attendants formed up behind lines of soldiers, creating ranks of aprons and spears. Between them, a vertical slit of darkness appeared and drew back the world like curtains on a stage.
"Welcome to the Unseen Academy,"
the darkness called out, as a pale-skinned human with solid black eyes emerged. His garb combined battlefield effectiveness and ballroom chic. Black steel pauldrons with golden claws grasped a royal purple robe, while wicked black sabatons tapped their metallic beat on the soldier corpses beneath him.
"I am Kirill, newly blooded king of the Unseen Academy. What brings a child of storms to my humble academy kingdom?"
he asked, cold eyes staring into and through Valstus. "May we speak in private?" Valstus asked, eyeing the procession behind their vampiric host. Kirill laughed. It rose above his burning enemies and cheering soldiers.
"I'm afraid you ask for the impossible. Every shadow has eyes and ears. Thus, duplicity is a pointless endeavor," he explained.
Valstus struggled to contain their grumbles, but refused to let gossipy vampires stop them. "I'm researching patterns in mage aptitudes across Idrine. I couldn't ignore the richest academy now, could I?" They lied, and waited for Kirill's reaction. Silently, they loved the idea for an academic paper and filed it away to actually research later.
"An excellently attempted lie. If I could not hear your heartbeat change, I would be marching you to my best and brightest,"
Kirill accused. His fanged smile gained a murderous edge.
"Now, before you sour this lovely victory further, try the truth, and perhaps I will still help,"
he finished, and raised a hand. A servant immediately rushed to his side with a glass goblet filled to the brim with red. "I am hunting a mage and the grimoires he stole from me," Valstus explained, choosing the truth with no details.
Not even I would be foolish enough to plunder a dragon's hoard. Name the dead man walking, and I will share what I know, provided I can watch you exact your wrath,
Kirill offered and demanded in smooth tones, while sipping and staining his lips with fresh blood. That depends. Are you friends or foes with Arceus Magistoris? Valstus asked, and watched with immense satisfaction as Kirill choked and dribbled blood between coughs.
I was indifferent to that misanthropic academic recluse. A mistake I will correct immediately,
Kirill growled, his wineglass shattering and showering his steel fist with blood.
Which ones did he steal? He demanded.
I don't have time to name them all, but he took Vizirath's skull first, Valstus answered, and actually took a step back when Kirill laughed this time. It wasn't mocking or amused. His black eyes widened while his fangs lengthened, and he howled a cackle at the sky. He stopped abruptly, snapping upright and grabbing a decorated officer by the throat.
Send this decree to every dark corner. I declare Arceus Magistoris traitor and outlaw. All mages of the Unseen Academy are to kill him on sight.
Yes, my lord, the officer croaked, and Kirill dropped him. The man turned and immediately delegated. Multiple soldiers stepped into shadow.
Thief mage soon dead mage, Gruffbark hissed. You should educate your friends on titles, Valstus,
Kirill said, licking the blood off his metal gauntlets.
Archmage is rare, and Arceus' death will be costly.
He stopped licking long enough for a servant to offer a handkerchief.
Kill rot quick, save most,
Gruffbark answered, and popped out from Valstus's crown of horns.
The wise truth I shall remember. May I know your name? Kirill asked, offering a nod of acknowledgement. Gruffbark, first root to Gem Tree tribe,
he answered, and jumped down, wooden fists on his green, moss-clad hips. The conversation faded away as Valstus pondered Kirill's reaction. The Skull Grimoire was a legendary necromantic source of knowledge. Every Adrenian nation forbade studying it. Practicing necromancy earned an execution without a trial. However, the immediate sentencing of an archmage implied greater dangers to the Unseen Academy.
Where thief mage home?
Gruffbark asked, pulling Valstus back to the present.
At the center of a mountain pass, Kirill answered, and swiped the air with a single clawed finger.
The world drew back like curtains again.
Follow,
he commanded, and with a flourish, walked in. The tear widened enough for Valstus to enter without ducking down. Gruffbark climbed their leg, glaring at every bit of shadow.
Dead darkness cold, he hissed.
Gem trees? Valstus asked, partly curious and partly to distract Gruffbark.
Tribe make trees in Gem. Gem tree tribe name. Why dragon confused? He answered,
and climbed to sit on Valstus's head again. Not confused, just curious. What was the tribe called before? They asked, ignoring the cold dark crawling across their scales.
Sweet trees,
Gruffbark answered, the bark of his body creaking as he spun in place to watch all directions.
Tribe live in maple before Big Bee harvest, he explained.
We've arrived, Kirill interrupted, and gestured. The darkness split onto a snow-covered plateau. The first icy wind made Gruffbark's wooden teeth chatter. He scrambled up and jumped into the gemstone library without a word.
You travel with an interesting companion, and even more interesting magics, Kirill observed, his black eyes fixated on the gemstone library.
The questions and hunger on his pale face tempted Valstus to respond with ice and lightning. "They are, it is, and you condemned the last mage who showed your intensity of interest to death," Valstus stated flatly. Kirill cleared his throat and blinked away the naked avarice on his face.
"A fair reminder. Let us not waste more time in fulfilling that sentence," he said, turning towards the Shadow Tear.
Valstus let out a pleasurable rumble at the fierce, frozen winds. Kirill stood against them, still as the mountain stone. The plateau gave them a clear view of the carnage below. A single stone and steel spire stood at the center of a black whirlpool. Pieces of soldiers bled red into the ice and snow at the whirlpool's edges. Kirill stepped into shadow and stepped out near a gathering of officers. Valstus concentrated on hearing them, despite the howling mountain wind.
"Report!"
"The spells are eating our men, Lord,"
an officer stammered. Kirill let out a frustrated growl, followed by creatively violent demands. Valstus ceased listening. Spreading their wings to catch an updraft, they glided higher to look down at the border between the red and black. Between snow-laden winds, they caught glimpses of blood-stained stone. Diving claws first let them cut through snow and ice. Stopping before the gore, their weight and speed launched an enormous white wave into the swirling darkness. Immediately, a swarming mass of tiny hands on thin shadow tendrils seized and tore apart every flake. A sickly sweet stench tinged with iron announced Kirill's presence. "Do you know this spell work?" Valstus demanded.
"No,"
Kirill answered, arms crossed, glaring at the spire as he walked along the border. "Anything similar?" Valstus pleaded, and followed the vampire.
"Only in concept. Never in casting,"
Kirill stated, a circle of shadow moving in front of them, removing snow from their path. Valstus cleared away panicked thoughts and unanswerable questions to focus on the spire's base. They only found more frustrations. Etched wards in every stone, the mortar binding the spire together gleamed with explosive elements. Most noticeably, it had no door. Dragon and vampire sighed dejectedly multiple times. Nothing changed until they come full circle, and a familiar voice greeted them.
"Good evening, Lord Kirill."
Archaeus's voice filled the mountain pass. We thank you for listening to this story. Creating the dragons, books, and magic and shenanigans has been enjoyed. Find more of Nikolai's stories and Adam's content in the links enclosed. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents either are the product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons living or dead, events, or locales is entirely coincidental. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form or by an electronic or mechanical means, including information storage and retrieval systems, without permission in writing from the publisher, except by a reviewer who may quote brief passages in a review. No generative artificial intelligence, AI, was used in the writing of this work. The author and narrator expressly prohibit any entity from using this publication for purposes of training AI technologies to generate text, audio, video, including without limitation technologies that are capable of generating works in the same style or genre as this publication. The author reserves all rights to license uses of this work for generative AI training and development of machine learning language models.